was a time in my life when I had no idea what the future held. To be honest, I didn't think I had a future at all. Growing up on the streets of Manila, survival was all I knew. Dreaming, that wasn't even part of my vocabulary. Every day was the same. I woke up every morning thinking where my next meal would come from or where I would sleep that night. I was just a kid, and life felt like an endless cycle of struggles. I didn't know God back then. I didn't know that there was someone looking out for me or a bigger plan for my life. If you had told me that God had a purpose in my life, plans to prosper me and not to harm me, I probably would have laughed. It didn't make sense. My life didn't feel like it had a purpose. I was begging for food. I was asking for change. I felt invisible, forgotten, and stuck. But what I didn't realize was that even on those darkest moments, God was there. I just didn't see it yet. Looking back now, I can see how God was working behind the scenes, even though I don't have a clue. There were moments, small ones, that I didn't think much of that time. A stranger offering me a food, a random act of kindness, a chance to learn something new. They felt like coincidences back then. But now, I know they were not. God was wiring things together, creating connections, opening doors that I didn't know existed. He was leading me step by step out of the life I thought I was trapped in. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." At that time, I couldn't imagine what that future looked like, but God already knew. I learned that God's plans doesn't always make sense in the moment. Sometimes they feel messy, confusing, and even painful. But every step, every struggle has a purpose. I used to think I was just surviving, but God was preparing me. He was shaping my heart, teaching me resilience, and showing me how to trust Him, even when I don't understand. Proverbs 3:5 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." That's what I had to do. I had to trust God, that God could see the bigger picture, even when all I could see was a mess in front of me. Today, I'm living a life I never imagined. It's not because I'm special or because I figured things out on my own. It's because God had a plan for me. A plan I didn't know about, but a plan that He was working on all along. If you're feeling stuck, hopeless, or unsure about your future, let me tell you this. God hasn't forgotten you. He knows exactly where you are. He's already writing a story for you. Trust Him. even when it doesn't make sense. Jeremiah 29:11 isn't just a verse, it's a promise. A promise that God's plans are good, even when life feels so hard. Hold on to that because He's holding on to you. Have a blessed day.